She had less than 3 minutes to choose. Leave her baby strapped to a scooter, or press her hands on a stranger's chest as his life slipped away. The crowd just watched, phones out. No one moved except her. That man, he wasn't just anyone. He was Adrian Cole, a CEO worth millions. But in that moment, he was dying, and only one woman stood between him and the end. What happened next would turn a single breath into a love story no one saw coming. The city was still waking up when Lila Bennett rolled her scooter out of the narrow alley. Breton City's financial district looked like steel and glass catching the first burn of sunrise. Her shift at Harbor and Hearth Café started at 6 sharp, and she was already on the clock. She had been awake since 5:10. Noah, her 16-month-old son, was strapped into the carrier fixed to the front of the scooter. He clutched a stuffed dolphin against his chest, eyelids still heavy from sleep. The scooter coughed like an old smoker, rattling louder than it ran. But it moved, and that was all she needed. Rent was due in 4 days, diapers in 2, and paychecks always felt like drops in a leaky bucket. She made the last delivery, 2 lattes and a bag of croissants on Piermont Avenue. Then she turned onto Maple and 9th, eager to get back before the manager noticed the missing apron. That was when it happened. A man stumbled into her path. 1 step, 2 steps. Then he collapsed hard against the pavement, the sound echoing against the glass towers. His suit jacket twisted under him, his tie pulled to the side. Both hands clutched his chest as if trying to hold his heart together. The crowd froze. Someone gasped. A phone was lifted. Another voice shouted, "Call 911," but nobody moved closer. Lila braked so hard the scooter skidded sideways. She glanced at Noah, his strap still tight, his dolphin pressed to his cheek. Her breath came fast, but her decision was instant. "Stay here, baby. Stay safe." She whispered the words like a promise. Then she ran. She dropped to her knees beside the man. His face was gray, lips edged with blue, eyes sliding closed. She leaned close, calling out, "Sir, can you hear me?" No response. His chest rose once, shallow, then stilled. The noise of the street faded, leaving only her own pulse pounding in her ears. Her body moved before fear could freeze it. She tilted his head back, checked his airway, felt for a pulse. It fluttered, faint, like a bird trapped in a fist. "Somebody call 911," she shouted again, sharper this time. Then she planted her hands on his chest, one over the other, elbows locked. "Come on, stay with me." She pressed hard. The sound was a dull thud under her palms, his belt buckle squeaking with each push. 1, 2, 3. Her voice counted steady, though her eyes blurred with panic. Around her, phones recorded, but no one else knelt down. Noah stirred on the scooter, a small sound carrying through the air. She heard it, sharp as glass, but kept going. If she stopped, this man would die right here on the sidewalk. 30 compressions. She tilted his head, sealed her lips to his, gave 2 breaths. His chest lifted, shallow, reluctant. Then back to compressions. Her arms shook, but she didn't let up. Breathe. Damn it. Breathe. The seconds stretched. Sweat slid down her temple, dripping onto his shirt. Her knees ached against the concrete, but she forced her weight down again and again. A horn blared from the intersection. Someone muttered, "She actually knows what she's doing." Another voice, softer, "Is he gone?" She blocked it all out. The world narrowed to the rhythm under her palms. Push, release, push, release. Her chest burned, her thoughts spiraled. If I collapse? Who holds Noah? Who keeps him safe? But she clenched her jaw and pressed harder. 1 minute passed, then another. Every second stretched into eternity. Finally a gasp. Barely audible, but real. His chest hitched once, then twice, air scraping through his throat. Lila froze for half a beat, relief slamming through her. Then she leaned close, coaxing him. That's it. Don't stop now. Stay with me. Her hands hovered, ready to begin again if his breath faltered. Sirens wailed in the distance, closing fast. Red and white lights streaked across the corner. The ambulance braked hard at the curb. 2 EMTs rushed over, equipment clattering. One knelt beside her, sliding gloves on. You did good, he said. Quick but firm. You bought him time. She stumbled back, arms trembling, her chest heaving. Her eyes darted immediately to the scooter. Noah was still there. Safe. His blue eyes wide and unblinking. She gathered him up, hugging him tight. His small hands patted her cheek as if checking she was still real. The dolphin dangled from his grip. Her voice cracked as she whispered, Mama's okay. You're okay. But tears slid down her face anyway. She turned once, watching as the EMTs lifted the man onto a stretcher. The crowd had already begun to thin. Some still held up their phones, recording every second. One woman whispered, Do you know who that is? Lila shook her head. She didn't care. All she knew was that for 2 minutes and 14 seconds, she'd gambled with her son's safety to keep a stranger alive. It wasn't instinct. It wasn't easy. It was a choice, a terrifying, human choice. As the ambulance doors slammed shut, she strapped Noah back into the scooter. Her hands shook so badly she almost dropped the helmet. She slid it on, breathing hard, still tasting adrenaline on her tongue. Noah looked up at her with innocent calm. She kissed his forehead, voice breaking. I thought he was gone, but he's not. The scooter rattled to life again, pulling them back into the city. The street was the same, but for Lila, nothing felt the same. She had pressed her hands against death and, for now, won. And though she didn't know his name or who he was, she knew she'd never forget the weight of his chest beneath her palms, the sound of that first desperate gasp, and the silence in between silence heavy enough to change everything. The hospital lights were merciless, white, sterile, humming faintly like fluorescent bees. Adrian Cole opened his eyes to that brightness and to the slow beeping of a monitor tethered to his chest. He blinked, disoriented. His body felt heavy, lungs dragging in shallow, reluctant breaths. A doctor leaned over, clipboard in hand. Mr. Cole, you had a cardiac arrest. You are extremely fortunate. Adrian's lips were dry. His voice was barely audible. Fortunate. How? The doctor's answer was simple. A bystander began CPR immediately. Without her, we wouldn't be talking right now. Adrian's mind flickered concrete. Sky above, voices muffled, then her face and her. He pushed himself weakly against the pillow. I want her name. The doctor checked the chart. Lila Bennett. She saved your life. By evening, his assistant had tracked down the rest. Barista, 24 years old, 1 child, lived in a small basement apartment. No assets, no car, no safety net. Adrian stared at the ceiling again. For the first time in years, he felt the weight of a debt he couldn't pay off with a wire transfer. He whispered into the quiet room. She held me here. The next morning, a bouquet of tulips left the hospital with his signature scrawled at the bottom of a note. He wrote carefully, I owe you my life. Words fall short. The flowers landed on the café counter where Lila worked. She read the card in silence. Her co-worker raised an eyebrow. "Who's Adrian Cole?" Lila slid the note under the register. "Nobody that matters." 2 days later, the doorbell over the café rang and Adrian himself walked in. No entourage, no chauffeur. Just a man in a wool coat waiting quietly in line. Lila nearly dropped the mug in her hand. When he reached her counter, he smiled faintly. "Lila Bennett," she nodded. "Yes, I came to thank you in person." "I already got the flowers," she replied, her tone flat. "And the note? I didn't think you needed a reply." He chuckled softly. "Fair enough." His gaze flicked toward a corner table. "Would you let me buy you lunch? Just as a thank you." "With all due respect, Mr. Cole, I didn't save you for a reward." "It's not a reward. More like a gesture." "I'm glad you're alive." "That's enough." Her honesty cut sharper than any rejection he'd heard in years. He paused, nodded, and stepped aside. "Then I won't keep you from your shift." She gave the faintest smile. "Just try not to collapse again." That earned a real laugh from him. A sound lighter than his tailored suits would suggest. The door shut behind him. Lila stood frozen for a beat, the hiss of steaming milk filling the silence. For the first time, she wondered if gratitude could live quietly, without spectacle. The days turned into a pattern. Adrian began showing up, not daily, but often enough to notice. Always alone, always ordering the same black coffee. Sometimes he read the paper at the window. Sometimes he stood at the counter, waiting patiently. He never mentioned CPR again. At first, Lila kept her distance. A billionaire didn't loiter in a corner cafe without reason. But his presence became oddly familiar, almost ordinary. One Tuesday morning, exhaustion broke her filter. She leaned against the counter and muttered, "Haven't slept through the night since Noah was born." Adrian raised an eyebrow. "Noah's your son?" She nodded, brushing her hair back. 16 months. A full-time job on my own. Rent and diapers stacked fast." The words spilled before she could stop them. He didn't laugh or pity her. He simply said, "Sounds relentless." The quiet respect in his tone startled her. For once, she wasn't explaining herself. She wasn't reduced to statistics or mistakes. She was just a mother. And he seemed to understand. A few days later, she brought Noah during an afternoon shift. The boy sat in his stroller, cheeks flushed, chewing his sleeve. Adrian bent slightly, smiling. "Hello there." Noah shrank against Lila's leg. He's shy, not used to strangers. Adrian didn't push. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small stuffed bear. "Asked the shop girl across the street," he said. "She said green was a safe bet." Noah stared, then reached out with tiny fingers. Something cracked open between them. Not grand, not dramatic, just a thread of trust. The bear stayed in Noah's hands for days. Late one stormy night, Noah's fever spiked. Lila panicked, no car. Buses stopped running, urgent care too expensive. Her hands hovered over the phone, debating 911. Headlights suddenly lit her small yard. Adrian stood at the door, umbrella dripping. "Your neighbor told me the scooter wouldn't start." "I can take you." She didn't argue. She wrapped Noah in a blanket and slid into his car. At the hospital, Adrian stayed. He carried the diaper bag. He fetched water. He rocked Noah when her arms gave out. When the doctors said it was just a virus and the fever had broken, relief crushed her. Adrian didn't leave. He sat by the crib all night, eyes half closed, but phone untouched. A nurse passing by whispered, Is that really Adrian Cole? In pediatrics? They didn't whisper out of awe for his wealth. They whispered because he stayed. Because he looked like a father beside a child who wasn't his. Lila watched from the chair. Noah finally sleeping in her lap. Something shifted that night. Not love. Not yet, but something real. A week later, Adrian appeared at the cafe with a manila envelope. He waited until her shift slowed, then slid it across the counter. "I've been thinking," she frowned. "About what? You mentioned nursing school once." Before Noah, her chest tightened. "I dropped out when I got pregnant. This is a full scholarship," he said gently. "For any program you choose, no strings attached." Her hand hovered over the envelope, then pulled back. "I don't know," she whispered. "It's a lot." Adrian didn't press. "Just think about it." She nodded, uncertain. But she didn't open it for 2 days. When she finally did, the details were real contacts, tuition, even deadlines. It scared her more than it comforted her. Because no one had ever made her life easy before. And she wasn't sure what to do with kindness this heavy. That night, alone in the small apartment, she tucked Noah in and sat with the envelope in her lap. Her fingers traced the flap. Her heart wrestled with trust. Adrian's face came back to her, the quiet man sipping black coffee at the window. Not demanding, not boasting, just showing up. And for reasons she couldn't name yet. That unsettled her more than anything. It began with a single clip uploaded at midnight, 2 minutes and 14 seconds long. A shaky phone recording of a young mother kneeling on a stranger's chest, pumping life back into him. The caption read, "While everyone filmed, she saved him." Within hours, it was everywhere. Brenton City woke to hashtags, retweets, stitched videos of the sidewalk hero. Lila's phone buzzed on the cafe counter, notifications rolling like an avalanche. Her co-worker gasped, holding up the screen. "Lila, it's you." She froze, recognizing her own face twisted in concentration, hair plastered with sweat. She muted the phone. The noise didn't stop. By noon, the local station had already run the clip. Comments poured in. Some called her a hero, a warrior, a mother with steel in her veins. Others sneered. She just wanted attention. She knew who he was. Gold digger with good timing. By evening, she was a headline. Single mom saves CEO. The internet had given her a title she never asked for. At Harbor and Hearth, customers whispered behind half-raised cups. "Is that her?" "She's the one from the video." Lila kept her head down, frothing milk, pouring shots. Her hands moved steady, but her chest tightened with every murmur. She wanted to vanish into the hum of the espresso machine. That Friday, 2 women in fur coats walked in, perfume trailing sharp as citrus. They stopped at the counter, eyes sweeping Lila like she was a curiosity. One leaned close to the other, voice pitched just loud enough. "That's her? The one who hooked him?" Lila's fingers trembled around the cup. She forced a smile anyway. The bell rang again. Adrian stepped inside. His gaze flicked instantly to the women, then to Lila. He crossed the floor, calm, composed, ordered his coffee like routine. When the women chuckled under their breath, he turned. "Ladies, if you're here for caffeine, we'll serve you. If you're here to judge, this isn't the place." Their laughter faltered. They left without another word. The cafe felt heavier, then lighter. Lila exhaled slowly, whispering, "You didn't have to do that." Adrian shook his head. "I didn't do it for you. I did it because truth deserves to be said out loud." Then he carried his black coffee to the window. That night, her phone buzzed again. A text from him, Sorry, the world is noisy. She typed back after minutes of hesitation. I don't need you to apologize for them. I just want peace for my son. The reply came fast. Peace is what I've been learning to look for, too. She stared at the words long after the screen dimmed. But peace was not coming. 3 days later, a talk show invited Adrian. The set was sleek, the host sharp, questions designed to pierce. The clip of Lila performing CPR rolled on a giant screen. You owe her your life, the host said. But tell us, Mr. Cole, are you drawn to her out of gratitude or pity? The studio audience murmured. The camera caught Adrian's jaw tighten. He leaned forward. Neither. She didn't know my name. She didn't care about my status. She acted because no one else did. The room went silent. He added, voice steady. I want to be clear. I don't spend my time with her because of debt or charity. I spend it because she makes me feel alive in a way money never has. The words landed like thunder. Some clapped. Others exchanged skeptical looks. But online, the storm doubled. Clips circulated, spliced with snide captions. Memes painted Lila as a climber, Adrian as a midlife cliché. At the café, a teenager pointed a phone at her, whispering into a live stream. Here she is, the sidewalk savior. Bet she's moving into his penthouse soon. Her cheeks burned. She wanted to scream, but silence felt safer. That evening, she carried Noah home through the drizzle. The boy pressed his face into her shoulder, clutching the green bear Adrian had given him. She kissed his hair, whispering, It's you and me, always. Inside, she turned off her phone, but the noise seeped through anyway. Neighbors asked questions. Co-workers made jokes edged with envy. One night, while cleaning tables, her friend Harper tried to lighten the mood. Hey, if you end up Mrs. Cole, remember us little people? Okay, another worker snorted. She's basically his charity project already. Lila forced a laugh. But inside, the words cut deep. She wondered if everyone would always see her that way, an accident that turned into a headline. Later that week, Adrian stopped by after hours. The cafe was empty, the chairs stacked, the smell of bleach clinging to the air. He leaned on the counter, tired lines under his eyes. Do you regret saving me? He asked suddenly. Her breath caught. Of course not. Then regret knowing me. She wiped her hands on a rag, avoiding his eyes. I don't regret. I don't know if I can live under this spotlight. I didn't ask for it. I didn't either, he said softly. But I won't let them define you. His conviction shook her. But fear still sat heavy in her chest. She whispered, I need time. He nodded once, not pressing further. I'll give you time, but I'll still be here. Then he left, the bell echoing in the empty shop. The storm outside raged on. Every search, every whisper, every caption pulled at her. But late at night, holding Noah close, she remembered one thing clearly. She hadn't knelt on that sidewalk for fame. She hadn't pressed on that chest for gratitude. She had done it because no one else moved, and no matter what the world said, that truth belonged only to her. The storm didn't calm. It found new ways to seep into every corner of her life. At work, the whispers kept circling like gnats. One evening, while wiping down the counter, Harper leaned closer. You realize if this goes somewhere, you'll never have to worry about rent again. Another co-worker snorted. Yeah, she'll just trade tips for stock options. The joke landed heavy. Lila laughed weakly, though her stomach twisted. When she caught her reflection in the chrome pitcher, She barely recognized the tired eyes staring back. That night, she stood before the bathroom mirror at home. Noah slept in the crib behind her, soft breaths puffing into the dark. Her own reflection whispered questions she couldn't silence. Was she a charity case? Would she always be the girl who got lucky by kneeling on the right sidewalk? Her chest ached as though the compressions she gave were now pressed back onto her. The next morning, Adrian invited her to a gala, a fundraiser for children's health. She hesitated, then agreed, telling herself it was just one night. She borrowed a navy dress from Harper, altered it with shaky stitches until it nearly fit. Her shoes didn't match, but they were clean. When Adrian arrived, he came without a driver, standing on her doorstep like a man, not a brand. "You look beautiful," he said simply. Her laugh was brittle. "I look like I raided a thrift store." "You look like someone I'm proud to stand beside." He offered his arm. She took it, though nerves churned beneath her ribs. The ballroom shimmered with chandeliers and sequins. Heads turned as they entered. The whispers struck fast, sharp as pins. "She's so young, must be a phase, his little project." Lila felt every eye like a weight on her skin. She gripped her glass too tight, the stem pressing into her palm. She whispered to Adrian, "I need air." She slipped onto the balcony, the night wind biting her cheeks. For the first time that evening, she could breathe. But voices drifted from near the coat room. Two older women lingered, champagne in hand. "You think he brought her for conversation?" one scoffed. The other smirked. "She's his charity case. Happens all the time." Lila's throat closed. She walked away before hearing more. But the words clung like smoke. At home, she stood over Noah's crib, tears streaming silently. She watched his chest rise and fall, steady, unbothered. For him, she had to be stronger. By morning, her mind was set. When Adrian called, she declined. When he texted, she left the screen dark. Days passed, then a week. She slipped away without fanfare, retreating into silence. Adrian didn't chase. He didn't flood her phone with messages. He simply vanished from the cafe's window seat. But one afternoon, a letter arrived in her mailbox. White envelope, neat handwriting. Her fingers shook as she opened it. Inside, the words were careful, deliberate. "When my heart stopped, the only eyes that saw me as human were yours. Not as a headline, not as a bank account, just a man." Her vision blurred as she kept reading. "You left your baby only feet away, risking everything to hold a stranger here. I don't expect forgiveness for what the world has made of this. I only want you to know you changed me. I had forgotten what it meant to be seen without agenda. Now I know. If you never speak to me again, I'll still carry that gift with me." It was signed, simply, Adrian. The paper trembled in her hands. Tears fell before she could stop them. She pressed the letter to her chest, as though it might steady her heartbeat. A small sound pulled her back. Noah stirred in the crib, rubbing his eyes. She lifted him, holding him close. The letter crumpled in her fist. He pointed toward the refrigerator. A photo was taped there, an accidental shot Adrian had taken of them at the café. Her laugh caught midair, Noah's hand reaching for her hair. The boy tapped the photo with one finger. Then he said it. "Dada." Lila froze. "What did you just say?" she whispered. Noah repeated, smiling now. "Dada." Her knees weakened. She stared at the photo again, at Adrian's face behind the camera. The warmth caught in that fleeting frame. The sound of Noah's voice was like a key turning in a locked door. She didn't know what it meant, but she knew it meant something, and she couldn't ignore it. That evening, she bundled Noah into his jacket. The sky was streaked with gold. The park bathed in autumn light. Leaves rattled across the pavement as she walked to the corner of Maple and Ninth, the same place where it had all begun. The sidewalk that still held the echo of her frantic counting. The air heavy with memory. 15 minutes later, Adrian appeared, hands in his coat pockets, steps unhurried, expression unreadable. He hadn't expected anyone. When his eyes found hers, he stopped short. They stood a dozen feet apart, silence stretching between them. Noah shifted in her arms, already half asleep. "You read it?" Adrian asked first. "I did," she answered. Her voice was steady, though her heart beat fast. It was honest and kind, she added. He nodded, keeping his distance. "I didn't write it to change your mind, only to tell the truth. But it wasn't the letter that brought me here," she said. He frowned faintly. "Then what did everything before that?" She met his eyes, the weight of weeks pressing through her words. "I know how people see me, and I let that fear drive me away. But when I think about you, about the way you cared for Noah, the way you never pushed, I realize I let their voices drown out the only one that mattered." Her throat tightened. "My own." Adrian's shoulders dropped, a quiet exhale leaving him. "I never wanted you to change," he said softly. "I just wanted to be allowed in." "I'm scared," she admitted. "But I care, and I want you in our life if you still want to be." He stepped closer, slow, careful. "More than anything," he whispered. He reached out, resting a hand lightly on Noah's back. Then his gaze lifted to hers. "Thank you for coming back." "No," she said, tears brimming again. "Thank you for waiting." They stood together under the rustling leaves. No applause, no cameras. Just the echo of a heartbeat once nearly lost, and the fragile hope of something lasting. Life didn't transform overnight. It shifted in small, steady ways, like calendar squares marked with grocery runs and Wednesday night dinners. Adrian learned how to fasten Noah's carrier without pinching little fingers. He figured out which baby wipes didn't sting and how to fold the stroller with one hand. On Saturday mornings, he brought pancakes shaped like stars. Noah stumbled across the living room, falling hard on his knees. Before Lila could move, Adrian scooped him up. "Gotcha, buddy," he said softly, brushing dirt from the boy's cheek. Lila watched the moment, her chest filling with something she hadn't dared name. Not gratitude, not charity, something quieter, warmer. The rhythm of a presence that stayed, a heartbeat she could count on. Weeks later, the Children's Heart Fund held its annual gala. Adrian was invited to speak as their guest of honor. This time, he asked Lila to come with him. She hesitated. Memories of cold whispers still burned. But she saw the sincerity in his eyes and nodded. The night of the event, she wore a borrowed dress again, hair tied back simply, shoes scuffed but polished. Adrian looked at her as if she were the brightest thing in the room. "You look beautiful," he said. Her cheeks warmed. "I look like I patched this dress myself." He smiled. "Then I'll say it again. You look beautiful." The ballroom buzzed with cameras and chatter. Lila's breath caught as old glances flicked her way. But Adrian's hand rested lightly at her back, grounding her. When he stepped onto the stage, silence fell. The spotlight cut sharp across his face. His voice carried clear, steady. 63 days ago, my heart stopped on Maple and Ninth. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. He continued. The news called it a collapse. I call it a wake-up. He gestured toward Lila. A young mother saved me. She didn't ask who I was. She didn't wait for a camera. She acted when no one else moved. The audience leaned in. She didn't just save my heartbeat. She reminded me what life is worth. Applause began, soft at first, then rolling louder. Lila lowered her head, overwhelmed. But when she looked up, Adrian's gaze was fixed only on her. Not on the donors, not on the press, just her. That night, leaving the hall, she whispered, "I hate crowds. But with you there, I felt safe." He squeezed her hand. "That's all I ever want you to feel." The city lights blurred as they drove home in silence. Weeks passed into autumn. The park leaves turned crimson, scattering across the paths. On a Sunday afternoon, Noah laughed wildly on the swing as Adrian pushed gently. Later, as the boy chased ducks near the pond, Adrian sat beside Lila on a weathered bench. He seemed nervous, fingers drumming against his coat pocket. Finally, he drew a breath. "I waited for the right moment," he said. "But I realized the right moment doesn't appear. It's chosen." He pulled out a small box, unadorned. Inside lay a simple gold band. No diamond, no shine, just a quiet inscription etched inside one breath. "Us." Her breath caught. "I can't promise perfection," he whispered. "I'll make mistakes. I'll get things wrong. But I will show up. Every day. For you and for him." The words trembled but rang true. Lila stared at the ring, her throat tight. "If you expect me to fit into your circles, to polish myself into something I'm not, then no, I can't." Her voice wavered, but her eyes held steady. Adrian's gaze didn't falter. "I don't want you to change. I want us to build something new, messy, imperfect, but ours." Her eyes blurred. "Yes," she said at last, tears slipping down her cheeks. "Yes, I'll marry you." Relief washed over his face like sunlight breaking clouds. Noah toddled over, fists full of leaves. He saw their hands clasped. The ring slipped onto her finger. "Up," he shouted, reaching for both of them. They laughed, lifting him together. For a moment, the three formed a circle no one could break. The park shimmered in golden light. The wedding was nothing like the magazines. No cathedral, no orchestra. Just a backyard beneath strings of yellow bulbs. Chairs borrowed from neighbors. A cake baked by Harper, leaning slightly to one side. Noah in tiny suspenders, carrying the rings in a cloth pouch. He nearly tripped on a root, but caught himself, beaming proudly as the guests clapped. Lila's hands shook as she took Adrian's. Her voice quivered but held steady. "I once saved a man's life on a sidewalk," she said. "But the truth is, he saved mine, and my son's, not with money, with presence, with care." Tears glistened in every eye. Adrian's vow was just as quiet. "Whatever life asks, I'll be there. For you, for him, for us." They slipped the bands on, gold warm against skin. The applause was small but full. Afterward, no limousine whisked them away. Instead, they walked home, Noah bouncing between them. Their house was modest, paint peeling at the trim, porch steps uneven, but the door squeaked open to warmth. A place to belong. That night, they brewed hot cocoa, rich with cinnamon. Noah sipped from a plastic cup with both hands. Adrian held him close, while Lila rocked in the chair beside them. The stars spread wide above the roofline. Lila whispered, "I'm not alone anymore." Adrian kissed the top of her hair, whispering back, Neither am I. For a long while, they sat in silence. Not a perfect family, but a chosen one. The future was uncertain. Bills would still come. Nights would still be sleepless. But they would face it together. One breath had changed everything. From strangers on a sidewalk to a family under the stars. And that was enough. Thank you for spending your time with this story. If it touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss the next chapter. Every click helps us bring more soul-stirring stories to life. We're grateful to have you here, and we can't wait to see you in the next video. Until then, take care of yourself, hold your loved ones close, and may your days be filled with warmth and hope.